Why is it that procrastination gets such a bad rap? Well, because it's often equated with putting something off that we have to do and instead allowing ourselves to give in to distraction, which can lead to potentially wasting a whole lot of time. TV, Netflix, social media scrolling, anyone? Now, especially when it is a task that we have to do eventually, whether or not that is tacking the dishes in the sink or doing the laundry or another chore, or a bigger project, getting that report in or shooting a video. I know all too well from experience that the longer you leave it, the harder it can become. In fact, the more time and space we have to think about it, to worry about it, to ruminate over it, the more potential for anxiety to be produced. At the same time, we are all too quick to blame procrastination or to label people or ourselves as procrastinators when in fact there may actually be something else going on behind the scenes. And so it's worth digging a little deeper. It is true that some day is not a day that exists in the week. However, we may be being too hard on ourselves because the truth is not all procrastination is created equal. Not all procrastination is bad, and not all procrastination is actually procrastination. There may be something else there. And there are going to be moments where you have to do something or you want to do something that you're not doing. And so some ideas on how to kick procrastination to the curb could be of benefit. And you're in luck because that's exactly what we're going to go over in this video. Idea number 1, get to the root. Take some time to figure out what really is happening and be honest with yourself. There are a number of reasons why we may be putting something off. For instance, it might not be the right time. Maybe there's something that's more prominent and more demanding of your time and attention in this moment right here, right now, that you're not going to be able to focus on something else. Or maybe it's not the right time because it requires some creativity or for you to be in the right frame of mind. And if you're not, you might just be forcing it or pushing it. And if you do that, you may not be producing your best work. Another reason it might not be the right time is because perhaps you don't have all that you need to succeed. Whether it's the skills, whether it's specific directions, or whether or not it's other materials or resources that you need in order to dig in and get started on your project. If you don't have all these things, you're not going to be able to move forward. Another idea is perhaps your environment needs to be cleared up, whether or not that's physical or mental or both. If we have a whole lot of stuff around, that clutter can actually contribute to our potential for distraction. So take the time to clear your space, take the time to clear your mind, do a brain dump, get out those worries and thoughts that are racing around in your head, because only then are we going to be able to fully devote our focus and attention to the task at hand. And another idea as to why it might not be the right time is because it might not actually be procrastination. It could be fear disguised as such, especially if it's something that we've been wanting to do for a long time, something that's really important to us, something that we're really connected to, or we're about to put out in a big way. It could be that we're actually just scared, and we may have to take some time to really work through that fear before we can just force ourselves out of our comfort zone before we are ready. So make sure you take some time to get to the root and get clear on what is happening. That is when you're going to get clear on what your next step is. Idea number 2 is to create a deadline. The gross majority of people are what are called obligers. We do something when we know there is something or someone that we have to be held accountable by. So whether or not that's a calendar, whether or not that's an alarm on your phone, whether or not that's one person, a group of people, or something you want to share publicly, that's often what works for me. Once you have someone who you know is going to follow up with you, or you know is going to call you out if you don't do it, somebody that you commit to, that is going to increase your chance of doing the thing exponentially. So make sure you create a deadline. The next idea is to break it down. If you have organized your life on your to-do list, the chances of you actually getting that done are slim to none, because that's not one thing that you can check off. And no doubt it's going to cause a little bit of overwhelm. So how can you break that down and get clear on what the steps are that you need to take and in what order? So for instance, it could be that you want to start by organizing your top drawer in your kitchen or cleaning out your closet. And then you want to think about what is your ideal morning routine? What would that look like? If you break down it step by step, it's going to be a lot easier to know what your first next action is. So don't just put this massive project on your to-do list because it won't get done. The next idea is to transform costs into rewards. What do I mean by that? You putting something off, especially if it's something you've been putting off for a long time, years, has a cost to it. The frustration, the anxiety, you being able to make yourself wrong for doing so. Don't underestimate the emotional real estate that is being taken up by you putting something off. And in fact, all that time and energy spent on the fact we're putting something off is actually just contributing to our procrastination. So see if you can transform those costs into rewards and focus instead on what would happen if. How pleased would you be? How good would you feel? What would happen when you finally get that thing done? And then think about what reward you want to give yourself when you do. That may be the motivation to propel you forward that you need. So transform costs and focus instead on the rewards or the payoffs that's going to come of doing the thing. And then finally, the last idea is to stop beating yourself up. We are really good at making ourselves wrong, and we get to be right in making ourselves wrong. Some people are so attached to their identity of being a procrastinator, putting things off, and they're okay with that. But actually, we have a choice. We don't need to feed into that story. We can choose something different, but it has to start with giving ourselves a break. It's not going to help if you just invest more energy in making yourself wrong. So be honest with yourself. It could be that you are someone who actually enjoys or requires a last-minute deadline. Margaret Atwood is a self-proclaimed procrastinator, and she says she gets her best work done at the 11th hour, often has late nights, but she has never missed a deadline. So if this is the kind of person that you are, so be it. Don't judge yourself. Just do it and get on with it however you best do it. Those are the ideas that I have for you. Remember, not all procrastination is created equal. And next time you find yourself putting something off that you know you'd feel a whole lot better by just doing, think about these 5 ideas. Get to the root, create a deadline. What was the third idea? Break it down step by step, transform your costs into rewards, and then stop beating yourself up. And I guarantee when you take on these ideas, you're going to be able to attack those actions like never before. So I dare you to get your brave on and stop the procrastination, or at least label it for what it is and stop beating yourself up against it. Until next time, if you have any other ideas, please share. Sharing is caring after all, and I will see you soon.